On this episode of Edge of the Web.
There's so much evolution taking place,
Yeah.
even though a lot of it may venture into artificial intelligence. Google may use artificial intelligence, but the pages that the artificial intelligence are going to pick out and choose are going to be pages that provide the best user experiences.
Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. You're listening and watching Edge of the Web. Winners of Best Podcast from the Content Marketing Institute for 2017. Hear and see more at edgeofthewebradio.com. Now, alongside Tom Broadbeck, here's your host, Aaron Sparks.
Well, good afternoon. Hey, we're broadcasting from Edge Media Studios located in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. Every week we bring you the latest trends in digital marketing and marketing influencers from around the world, talking about these key concepts of digital marketing and digital marketing tactics. Check us out at all of our recent shows at edgeofthewebradio.com. We're powered by Site Strategics, your digital marketing pioneers specializing in the agile digital marketing strategy and execution. If you want to know what that is, I can tell you briefly. It's results-based marketing and flexible agility and utilizing all the tactics inside of digital marketing, not just two blogs and a tweet each and every month, right? So, hey, if you want to learn more about the agile marketing strategy, go check us out at sitestrategics.com. That's SITE strategics.com. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks. I'm the CEO of Site Strategics as well as Edge Media Studios. The reason we do this show, we've been doing this for five and a half years here, is because we love to focus on education to our audience about digital marketing tactics. What's real, what's not, what's white hat, what's black hat, what you should be doing, and conversely, what you shouldn't be doing. Right, we've been doing this for 5 years. I'm going to introduce the guy on my left here. That's Tom Broadbeck, Director of Digital Marketing.
Hey.
Oh, I did it again.
You messed up. I'm not in charge of digital marketing. Just the media side.
Director of Digital Media. I'm literally doing this to myself on a regular basis.
I was gone last week, so it just threw you off. Hey, I'm watching, so everybody's knowing, I'm watching Facebook here, so if you have any comments or questions for us during the show, please ask us. But
Absolutely.
the related videos right next to it is a video with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Why would you bring that up?
It's related to us.
There's no.
So you're either one of us is either Ben Affleck.
We
or
are not
Matt
flipping
Damon.
related to
now,
Ben
I know
Affleck.
since you're so affectionate towards Ben Affleck.
I am anti-Affleck. That's a Batfleck right there, and he should not be mentioned again on this show.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wow, you did that.
Well, it's right here. Somebody's got to monitor it.
Well, our guest, who I want to talk to now instead of Tom, is Bill Slawski. Hey, he's the Director of SEO Research at Go Fish Digital. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys, Aaron, Tom?
We're fantastic
great.
as long as you don't mention Ben Affleck.
He's right there.
I've got no reason to do that.
I appreciate that. Bill, you're my best friend. I know what the heck's going on over here. Hey, yeah, we do actually ask you to jump into the live stream on Facebook Live and ask some questions as we're monitoring it, and for our audience that's listening to our podcast, who we always are loving your downloads and appreciate your input. Get on the Facebook Live feed and be able to ask some of the questions to our guests as we talk to them. That's what we're doing here at Facebook. That's what this is what we're doing on Edgecasting and in the studio, Edge Media Studio. So check out all of our audio on your favorite podcast platforms and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Acast. Anything else we got out there?
That is it. I think you named them all. Every single one of them. Player FM, maybe you left off.
Player FM. All right.
But
good.
That's it. We're everywhere.
We're all the audios. That's where we are right now. Hey, this segment is actually brought to you by Ahrefs. If you want to actually get passive, consistent traffic from Google that converts into to customers and sales, Ahrefs has all the tools and data that helps you with that. Head on over to ahrefs.com and take their free 14-day trial. Make sure that you check out their Academy section for tutorials on how to make your site rank higher. Now, here's the deal. We got a giveaway. Each and every show that we have Ahrefs on, we are actually giving away a free year membership to Ahrefs. Leave your best questions and comments on Facebook. And that value is literally, it's $179 a month value, equaling over, I did the math, over $2,000 a year. I know.
Look at you.
I'm saying.
That philosophy major is paying off.
Nice. Yes, exactly. I can give you some logic here of exactly what I'm going to say to you after the show.
Oh, man.
Leave your comments on Facebook video, and we'll actually announce the winner at the end of the show. So here's the thing. We're actually paying attention to the show right now, and you can get a free membership for a year. And Ahrefs is a fantastic tool,
Love
guys.
this tool, and they just recently had keyword ranking added to the tool, so you can track all your keywords and everything in there. And I love the backlink features within this tool. It's one of the best out there. So
it is one of the best.
Glad to have them on as a partner.
And it gives you an understanding of all the authority that's
by day.
I know. It's crazy. So that's some big data that they're rolling through here.
Yeah,
all right. So be sure to join us on the Facebook feed and be able to say something to us, ask us a question, because that's the only way you're going to be able to earn this fantastic
we'll announce
giveaway.
the winner at the end. So give us your best questions for Bill and for us, and we'll get them into the show.
That's right. All right. So let's jump into the show here. Let's take you through the latest digital marketing news.
I was very excited to start my reportings.
This week's trending topics.
Okay. We've got the update that you were at least hearing in the annals of SEO. August 22nd, 2017, the day the hawk, the Google local algorithm update swooped in. If you've noticed a shift in Google's local search results, well, columnist Jay Hawkins actually shared everything that you need to know about the hawk update. So what's the hawk, Tom? Tell us about this thing.
So apparently the hawk, like Bill and I were talking before the show, the hawk is to, since hawks eat possums, and so this is kind of to not necessarily overtake the possum algorithm, but as a supplement to it. So basically what was happening in the possum algorithm update is if businesses were close to each other, like hotels, the highest ranked or the most popular, most authoritative hotel in that area or within a certain vicinity would only appear in the local maps. So if you had a Holiday Inn and a Quality Inn and a Comfort Suites all at this intersection at Indianapolis at an exit, one of those would probably appear if you were just to search hotels for Indianapolis right there at that intersection. The other two just wouldn't even appear. And so what this hawk update is doing is to, now you should be able to see all those hotels. So what was happening is if they were of similar nature, they were using the most authoritative one and leaving the rest out. So now all of them should start appearing within the local maps.
So this update kind of sounds like a user experience modification to me. Is that from pushback of the audience of Google, if they're wanting to see more? I mean, is this just mobile or is this desktop?
The article, I don't think specifically said that, but I assume it's both.
Bill, what do you think? Was this a bit of a user experience change as opposed to just getting the algorithm straight?
It sounds like a site quality score type thing,
Sure.
where they're trying to make sure that sites that should be showing up in the search are showing up.
Sure.
Well, it can't be just the quality, because you may have one hotel right now, physically at the location, that has no authority from inbound factors or SEO factors, right?
Once upon a time, you could have local results show up for your business even though you didn't have a website.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Those were the good old days. So in the article, they actually demonstrate, if you could, Jim, pull that back up for us, the before and after shots that they were actually tying in there. It's a little bit further down the screen there. They have some orthodontics that they were showing here, different listings, and they isolated a listing that literally actually had 42 reviews as well. So there was some
It's had some
strong authorities,
there, yeah.
and it finally showed up after the hawk swooped in. So they were getting just shoved out of the equation, which really begs the question: how strong are reviews in the play? If just that's a micro data point right there, but I mean, reviews are, as we understand it, a factor of site score and ranking inside the local pack. Boy, that guy was getting shoved out of there.
Still, but I mean, the person that was blocking him out in this example was that Wheaton Orthodontic, and they had double the reviews for it. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So if you're looking at your local listings, you should be paying attention to where you ranks and some of you out there that have been struggling with trying to get into that local pack, you may actually have discovered that you're going to get a little bit more view out there. And we certainly would love to have anybody let us know those results that you're seeing out there.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit further down in the article, Aaron, too. It's talking about how it's still not completely perfect with this update, that if you're in the same building as another, so if you share a normal office building that has like 10 floors or like in bigger cities, there's multiple businesses that do the same thing. If you're in the same building, this is still kind of happening.
Yeah.
Because it's the same spot on a map. So if you're in the same building, you're probably still having this issue. But if you're separate buildings and a few 100 feet away from each other, the issue should be solved.
Should be, and hopefully it is. But, this is an ever-changing landscape. So that article was actually from Joy Hawkins, not Jay Hawkins, over at Search Engine Land. Another article is from John Loomer regarding Facebook Ads Manager. All right, so take some deep breaths. For those who've used the Power Editor religiously for the last several years, due to added features not available in the Ads Manager, don't worry. It sounds like as though the functionality... no functionality will actually be lost as they change the Ads Manager, because Power Editor is so overwhelming. It is a bit scary.
Yeah,
for the
it's been a few years since I've been in it, and it was been a couple years. So I assume there have been updates, but when I was using it a couple years ago, it was daunting trying to understand it.
Honestly, it was. So if you followed the evolution of Power Editor during the past couple of years, this shouldn't be much surprise. There was a time when the two tools are so drastically different, right? But they're not anymore. The reality is there's no longer a need to have both tools. They've been basically identical anyway. So this update, which is rolling out this week, is focused primarily on the campaign creating and reporting. So what they're actually doing is focusing on creation flows, guided creations, and they're borrowing from Power Editor. So is this a consolidation that I'm hearing here?
Yeah, so both the tools are kind of combining into one and kind of sharing new features. And so I pulled up the article here from Facebook, and so there were automatic drafts, but now that you can save, you can have save when you want to save your ads. You can save them as a draft. Now,
finally,
yes,
and that right there was the biggest thing. It honestly is that. I mean, you have to literally move an ad out there or draft it externally, and you never had the chance to be able to pause and affect an ad before going launch.
Yeah, so that's one.
Wow.
And then they're consolidating the reporting feature, and then there's the creation flow. So there's a different way to create your ads now. It'll be kind of uniform in nature now between the two tools.
Excellent. Very good. All right, so that was from John Loomer, correct?
That was, and it's a great resource for Facebook ads, his website. So
fantastic. Well, Martech, last article here, article by Tim Peterson. Advertisers are ready to get aggressive about enforcing the ads.txt option. Now, we talked about this ads.txt option, or this file that you put on your website, several shows ago regarding the programmatics and regarding ads that are being fabricated as possibly being part of the ad inventory that it's not, but it's not according to the tools that you can actually put in your website now. So to accelerate publishers' slow adoption of the ads.txt file, advertisers are prepared to begin enforcing the anti-fraud initiative as soon as the fourth quarter of this year. Ad buyers are very dissatisfied with publishers' slower than expected adoption of the industry's anti-fraud initiative, ads.txt. And now they're actually almost putting up an ultimatum. Publishers need to upload a public list of their programmatic sellers and resellers, or they will be left out of the brand's programmatic ad buys. That's a pretty heavy-handed pushback, but it's needed. It's so desperately needed.
And I don't know why, if you're, it doesn't say New York Times is an issue. Why would you not have it in there? Because other people are selling ads to your website.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not your website.
Right. I really do think
posing as your website, I guess.
I really think it's probably that they just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, would you have anything to interject in regarding that article?
It's sort of outside the scope of what I do day to day. I don't buy advertisements. I help people with SEO show up in
No
search.
no worries whatsoever. It's just slow adoption is kind of a you'd hope it's gone the way of the dodo, and as things are faster and faster inside of the digital marketing space, SEO is certainly one of those things. Is that when you're changing schema, when you have to adjust for code relevancy and code compliance, the slow adopters literally are going to get a lot of continually get a lot of pain because they're just not moving to be able to capitalize on some of the advantages that Google's giving.
There are some things that frighten me that I see in the advertising world, like ultra high pitch frequency advertisements on TV and radio that your phone can pick up and tell that you've been subjected to them.
Absolutely.
So you hear an ad on TV, your phone realizes you've heard it, and it's like a cookie has been set.
Well, they're doing that. They're doing the cross attribution, cross device attribution right there.
Right.
And then with Amazon and Google Home and always listening, right? They're trying to capture that cross platform user experience. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is very scary.
And Google did get a patent for that last year. Towards the end of the year.
We are absolutely going to talk about that today. All right. So, hey, if you want to catch up on what we're talking about on a regular basis at Edge of the Web, you can join our newsletter on a weekly basis. We're sending out some great information to you. You can text to the number 22828 with your smartphone with the word Edge Talk, and you can jump in there and be able to have an invite sent out to you to be able to subscribe to the letter. You can also go straight over to edgeofthewebradio.com, and you can join right there. Very simple, and we will not use your information for anything else except sending you some beautiful digital nuggets of gold regarding the stories we're talking about, the influencers, and the individuals that we're having on the show on a regular basis, and maybe give you an insight or two that we don't talk about on the show. So there's no reason why you would not be part of that excellent experience, which is our newsletter, right?
Love it. Sign up today, and you will get emails from me twice a week.
Twice a week? Oh, he's doubling down now. That's true. Yep. Or 3 times a week. Who knows?
Maybe it'll be a third.
If you want to be a personal pen pal to Tom, just sign up today. All right, hey, follow all of our featured trends and topics over at edgeofthewebradio.com. But now, hey, let's deep dive with this week's featured guest.
Now it's time for Edge of the Web featured interview with Bill Slawski, Director of SEO Research at Go Fish Digital.
Well, Bill, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day here today.
It is a beautiful day in San Diego, and we're a little bit jealous, but we get a nice day here. Yeah. But you just don't get the weather that we do regularly, do you, Bill?
No. That's why I moved out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bill Slawski is the Director of SEO Research at Go Fish Digital and the man behind SEO by the Sea. Bill has been involved in internet marketing and web promotion since 1996. I can commiserate there with you. I think we've been in those channels in tandem. Hey, he's worked with a wide range of sites from nonprofits to Fortune 500, and he's also known for his research related to patent filings from search engines. So give us a little bit of your backstory. Where'd you come from, and how'd you get to where you are now?
Okay, I was living in Delaware. I had a friend who was bored with his job. He was a service manager at a car dealership, and he wanted a new job. So I suggested he become a registered agent in Delaware, charge people $100 a year to receive mail for them. And he said, well, I can do that, but wouldn't I need a website? I said, I can build that. I bought a Learn HTML in 2 weeks book and spent 2 weeks. Built a website.
So proof in advertising right there.
And you know,
I remember those old HTML,
Yeah.
learn HTML books. Boy, I remember getting the first one foisted on me.
yeah, I'm interested. You also had a background in law. I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Right. I went to law school. I graduated, and I had a friend who was staff attorney for Superior Court of Delaware, and he offered me an internship. So I joined him working there for a summer, and when the summer ended, the administrators at the court asked me if I would like to keep on working there. So that saved me from having to look for a job as an attorney.
Absolutely.
Keep on working in law. So I said, yeah. So I ended up staying for 14 years.
What all did you do during that 14 years in law?
I was an administrator. I supervised people who, like the bail clerk and the warrant clerk, and I was a pen pal to prisoners who were being held maybe past time that they should have been released.
That's a book right there. Wow.
You know, you go to a job interview and they ask you, have you been in a position of authority that required you make difficult decisions? And you say, yeah. Oversaw people who had death sentences or were imprisoned for the rest of their lives, and sometimes had to help them get released.
That puts everything in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. You got to think about possibly putting that pen to paper, so to speak, and telling some of those stories. Those would be awesome. Anyway, hey, so how did you go about researching new patents? So you've got this law background and administratively so. The new patents are being filed regularly by Google. What's the frequency of patents being filed by Google? If you have a perspective on that.
It's slowed down.
Really?
It really has. New patents, they're coming out with maybe 5 to 10 a week. Granted patents, the ones that have been granted, it's about 40 or 50 a week right now.
Of granted patents?
Yeah.
And you say that slowed down?
Yeah, the new patents, filing new patents
Right.
has slowed down.
So in the heyday, so in perspective, how hot and heavy was Google in the last 5 to 10 years then?
Well, 5 years ago, with the granted patents still being fairly busy, 40 or 50 a month or a week,
Right.
they were filing those 2, 3, 4 years ago. So they were filing a lot more than they are now.
So how long does it take to actually how long does it take from patent filing before you can actually see it make its way? Now we're talking patents all over the place, but you also are researching patents of Google algorithm changes, correct?
There are some, yeah.
Yep.
There's some that have nothing to do with search.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Two that I wrote about this morning involved device controls in textiles and plastics. How they were building controls in Levi's jackets and car seats, things like that.
They are everywhere. They are literally everywhere. Well, I mean, that could be a whole nother conversation right there. So when it comes down to algorithm changes, what constitutes a patent application? Obviously, it's contextual to everything else that they're doing with the algorithm. So does it's not just a submission. You have to have the recipient inside the legal administration has to have context in which they're submitting particular changes. Correct? You have to be as smart as Google pretty much to be able to understand what they're submitting. Yeah.
In the patent, they have a phrase that they use where they refer to people as learned in the art of a topic.
Mm-hmm.
So when they write a patent, they're supposed to write it so that it can make sense to
Right.
somebody who knows something about that topic and might learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
So last week I wrote about a patent that's probably has a lot to do with RankBrain,
Right.
and it talked about word vectors or assigning mathematical numbers to different terms to allow people to predict what other words might be associated with them.
Can like
So
wait.
if somebody,
No, keep on going.
if somebody submits a query to Google and it's ambiguous, they might turn this approach on that to better understand words that might be missing,
Mm-hmm.
or to rewrite the query in some way that they can get better results for it. When I wrote a blog post about that patent, I said, okay, the best thing I can do with this blog post is they've got lots of mentions of articles that people who invented the patent or work for Google or work in artificial intelligence wrote, that if I found links to them, I could write a blog post saying, here's the best source of information to find out how RankBrain works.
Mm-hmm.
Go read these things.
Got it.
And there were about 20 of them.
That's like that's the inside of what they're trying to. They're building RankBrain, and we've been looking from the outside looking in, trying to figure out how much is algorithm, how much is RankBrain, because that truly is not just the algorithm. It's their additional machine learning, AI, for lack of a better description, inside that they're affixing to the Google search algorithm for our users or our listeners who don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. But what you're saying is that with the patent applications and wording it in such a way that it needs to be able to be contextually understood, we can actually not reverse engineer, God forbid, but we can start understanding those weight values of how they're actually applying those different programmatic concepts inside of RankBrain, so we can actually start seeing how they're evaluating certain factors that will go into. So you can't get the entire construct, but you can start at least getting slices of understanding of RankBrain. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Some of the guys who worked on these algorithms behind RankBrain started doing this type of work 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the computers they had weren't capable of handling it well.
Yeah, it was too abstract. I mean, what they were trying to, the permutations of data were so far, I don't say there's so many additional calculations upon calculations. It's like an exponential possibility, though the earlier computers just couldn't handle it.
Right. Google came up with a chip they call Tensorflow. And they started recently allowing Google Cloud customers to run programs on TensorFlow chips on the Google Cloud. It's one of the benefits of working on the Google Cloud. Mm-hmm. Those are based upon, did you ever build computers?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You ever remember graphics cards?
Oh, yeah.
Became a lot more complex.
Yep.
They started routing artificial intelligence algorithms through graphics cards.
Really?
5 years ago or so.
Oh, yeah. Because it was on board and it was solid state type of processing that you get more out of that at that card level before you pushed additional processing up to the RAM.
Right. So the TensorFlow chip is based upon that.
Huh. Well, that's
based upon those graphics intensive cards.
That's amazing. So, well, basically, Google had to build its own world to be able to process the logic that it was trying to develop for the most part.
Right.
Wow.
And it's one of the things they're attracting people to their cloud services with now.
Oh, very good. Well, have you been able to string together with these patent insights Any hypothesis of what they were what they're doing with Rank Brain? Are there key factors that we can look at that you've been able to consolidate outside of what we know of regular scoring algorithms? Rank Brain is elusive. Rank Brain is relatively brand new, and we have no idea how much or how little Rank Brain is actually being pulled into play on any particular search. Do you have any insight that you could share with us that would be some key points?
There are some things that they're doing that are steps halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they came up with one that is useful maybe for people doing keyword research. They called them context vectors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you take something like a horse has multiple meanings. To an equestrian, a horse is an animal you ride.
Right.
To a carpenter, a sawhorse is something you saw wood on. To a gymnast, a horse is something you do gymnastic exercises on.
Mm-hmm.
So this patent that deals with context vectors, they say we're going to look at knowledge bases like Wikipedia, Internet Movie Database,
Mm-hmm.
Yahoo Finance, sites that they consider information-intensive resources. And we're going to learn more about these words that maybe have multiple meanings and see if we can take the context of those words and apply them to web pages to get a better sense of which meaning is appropriate for that word.
Mm-hmm.
So if you write a web page about horses, the animals, and you include words like saddle and thoroughbred and stirrups on your page, you're giving Google the context that it needs to better understand which meaning you intended.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what you're showing is honestly, Rank Brain is literally, it's inferring and deducing from the content that's on the site. Is actually making a logical association of what you're really talking about, as opposed to the per page ranking factors and being more myopic to the scoreability of a particular page and the inbound factors that give juice to any type of traditional SEO. It's now getting more heuristic or it's an overview of the entire site and understanding the content. I mean, God forbid you get into all the different languages and how that's just an exponential explosion of what they are needing to figure out of the word use across all the different international languages. But it makes logical sense. It's much more human of a perspective to actually get this contextual knowledge as you're starting to read something, right?
Once upon a time, search involved somebody submitting a query with specific words and the search engine saying, okay, let me find documents that contain those words.
Right.
And return them to you. Now, Google's saying, okay, give us a query and speak a query if you want.
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure out what's missing from your query and give you something that involves the meaning of what you're asking for. So it's no longer just matching the words. It's here's what you were looking for. Here's the meaning of what you intended with that query of yours, even though 10 years ago we couldn't understood your query.
Mm-hmm.
It was too ambiguous.
So they've been working, Google has, for the longest time on predictability of what you're about to look for as you interact with their search. They will give you content based on your interactions that will be more prone to be clicked on from you as a user. I mean, they've done it with the mashup of local and national listings, but they're also using Bayesian technology to be able to do predictive analysis on the more attractive type of content that it sees you interacting with. That's a known step that they took a long time ago. Be able to infer your behavior. Now they're also inferring the context of the sites, and pretty soon you're going to be seeing that, and that's what they're doing right now, putting them both together. is they know you, they know what your predilections are and what the most logical next step is going to be. And then they're also inferring, deducing the full contextual knowledge of that website. So there's a convergence here. Would you agree, Bill?
It's been going along a lot longer than most of us realize.
Absolutely.
If you're familiar with Anna Patterson, she started a search engine called Cool.
Mm-hmm.
She built the largest search engine of the 21st century in like 2003. One called Recall that searched the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
It was in beta on the Wayback Machine for about 7-8 months or so, and then it disappeared. About a month after that, she was hired by Google as a vice president of search.
Absolutely. That was a while back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a fun conversation. Getting back to patents, how long do patents last? The main thing that we're thinking about here is like the Amazon one-click purchase patent, right? That just expired. Are there patents from Google that are about to expire?
There's one from Stanford. Google never owned it. They had an exclusive license to use it. It's called PageRank. It's about ready to expire.
Oh, yeah. There it is. And we're all happy about it, I think.
So what takes the place of PageRank?
Rank brand.
Well, what's that?
Rank brand, I guess.
So, yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. So they don't own the right to that.
Nope.
So then, yeah, when that expires, they can't use that anymore.
No, that's not how patents work. Patents say we have the right to exclude you from using our patent.
Gotcha. I thought you were
They can still use it.
So Bing wanted to start using PageRank. When the PageRank patent expires, Bing can start using PageRank.
Gotcha. So then,
So
how did I guess my SEO history isn't as deep. How did Stanford get that patent?
Paige and Bryn went to school at Stanford.
Okay. Yep.
Instead of working on their PhDs, they both built a server named after a sumo wrestler and started trying to index the web out of a trailer in the middle of Stanford, and ate lots of pizza and index the web all day.
Speaking of, keep going.
Their supervisor overseeing their PhDs came back. He went on a trip to Japan for a year. He was on sabbatical, and he said, "How's your work doing on the PhDs?" And they said, "We can't tell you, but is there anything you want to find? We can find it on the web."
Find it for you.
That's funny. Now, so that's expiring, but PageRank has not been publicly visible and utilized on Google for a number of years, correct?
There was a toolbar that worked with Internet Explorer only, and people stopped using Internet Explorer, so Google stopped showing the toolbar.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, and
they've been claiming that PageRank is still used, and Stone Temple Consulting just did a study saying the links still have power.
Yep, they do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What a crazy thought. Yeah, links do have power. You better believe it. But that ranking methodology certainly has expanded. So PageRank was really that canary in the coal mine of where Google was going with its entire understanding of inbound influence. So speaking of pages, I gotta give a quick.
I'll say it was a good transition there for talking about links into our sponsor.
Absolutely. So we want to give out a shout out to our new sponsor, Page One Power, your solution for custom link building campaigns. In addition to their manual link building campaigns, they also offer technical SEO audits, link building training courses, and enterprise solutions. So Page One Power actually works hard to make sure your business has the best online visibility possible on Google and beyond. They're driven by their industry-leading innovation, which allows them to tailor-fit a campaign to match your specific needs. So Edge of the Web listeners can save 10% on their first campaign by going to the page, pageonepower.com/EOTW, that's Edge of the Web, but EOTW, and telling them a little bit about your link building needs. 10% off their program. It's a fantastic tool set, fantastic crew as well.
Yeah. So when I first started out in SEO, I mean, Bill was one of my main resources that I followed on Twitter, and his SEO by the Sea blog. But Page One Power has a great webinar, and their owner is John Ball, and I forget his brother's name now, but they're all over the place, and they had some great webinars on Search Engine Watch, Search Engine Journal, and so they're a great resource, and I definitely learned a lot from Page One Power, and we're glad to have them on as a sponsor.
Absolutely. Hey, we have a question from our Facebook audience, Bill. You ready to take it real quick?
Sure.
Nicholas Cassidy actually asks, "Hey, Bill, what do you think about Google's upcoming enforcement of SSL certificates on web pages for form fills and other forms like textual data gathering?"
I'm not a security person. I don't play one on TV. I play one on the internet. I mean, I'm concerned about SSL with whether or not it affects rankings of pages.
Exactly.
If you want somebody to talk about security, I'm maybe not the person.
I think what Nick's talking about is not so much security, but the Google's insistence that any form online has to have an SSL encryption, meaning that you're going to get a warning before getting to a page that's not secure, that has a form on it. So they're clamping down on the user experience, and on top of that, I'd go so far as the usability of the page. That's certainly going to get back to an SEO factor if those pages just can't be interacted with because of the Google Chrome shutdown, because they're not allowing you to see that form unless you hit the button to go further and be able to check out that form. So from an SEO factor, it's kind of a sideways SEO question. Do you see that affecting ranking forum pages out there? Because there's a lot of traffic that goes to those type of pages.
Google sometimes uses a carrot and sometimes uses a stick. If they tell you that they're doing something, it's going to affect rankings.
Yep.
That can influence a lot of people to do that, to follow that.
You are absolutely correct, and they've hit us with a few sticks here over the last few years. So another question for you, Bill, regarding patents. Does Google file a patent for every algorithm change and penalty, like Panda, like Penguin, Hummingbird? Do they do that?
They supposedly average around 2 changes a day.
Mm-hmm.
So
no,
they don't.
No, it's going at the same speed as their algorithm changes regularly, so it doesn't really anchor to those large updates.
Sometimes it's hard to find a patent that actually refers to a specific update.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Some of the Panda ones, there's a revision of a patent, a patent continuation that came out this week called Site Quality Scores, which may be why I had it on my mind and mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
And it's by Navneet Panda. It has a lot to do with the high quality scores that affect Panda updates. And it's I wrote about it about 2-3 years ago. When I wrote about it, there were a couple of people who read what I wrote and said, the way to increase the quality of your web pages is to get more brand mentions. They misread the patent. They misread my blog post.
Oh, really? Got it.
But it maybe does have something to do with later versions of Panda, because it does focus upon site quality.
So you're doing breadcrumb research. This is what you're doing. You're following the breadcrumbs. They won't blatantly come out and say this is what we're doing and why we're doing it. They are, I mean, this is public discourse from Google in a different way. They have to file these patents, but they're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and show you everything they're doing. They're gonna kind of push things along at a very, I would argue, a probably very strategic way of doing things to throw off the sleuth like Bill. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the questions I was going to ask is how many patents have you looked at that you've never seen used? Because I'm sure they're just filing any idea that they could have that could possibly be something in the future. How many patents are filed like that you haven't really seen come to fruition, I guess?
Some of them it's hard to tell because it's hard to tell whether or not they've been implemented or not.
Okay.
So what I mentioned Annalyn Patterson earlier, and how she built the largest search engine. She's behind a technology called phrase-based indexing. Phrase-based indexing describes a way of overturning Google bombs. You remember Google bombs? Somebody, as a practical joke, thought that if they linked to the homepage, the White House bio page of George Bush, and used the anchor text "miserable failure,"
right,
that he would start ranking for the phrase "miserable failure," and he did.
Yep. And,
so they were trying to overcome the effects of Google bombing, and phrase-based indexing supposedly did that. But it tells you how you can look for co-occurring words that rank highly for the same terms on those pages, maybe include them on your own page and get boosted in search results for those high-ranking terms, which I don't think too many people are using or have picked up on, because it's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work, and there's so many nuances inside of SEO, obviously. Just to Tom's example is that just following your blog, you're doing the right at the line research of what Google's doing, and you're not extrapolating everything out of what they're doing. You're trying to be that conveyor of information to the rest of us. Hey, look at this, look at this, look at this. There's something here, there's a pattern here that you might want to pay attention to. Those are excellent points of just perspective, and people need to be taking advantage of that, because you're never going to have an inside look into everything that you need to know, and all 226 points of the Google data set that's going to rank you high. Yeah, it's a constantly fluid thing. With these patents that have been filed literally daily, they're making so many changes. You've got to pay attention to people like Bill to be able to listen and be able to pay attention to the wake of Google, because that's where we start picking up these nuggets of gold, right, Bill?
Right. I guess about 3 or 4 years ago, when the Google Venice update happened. Remember that one?
Yep.
They were publishing 14. They were publishing on the Google Webmaster Central blog. We've done 50 updates this month. Here are 20 or so of them. And you know, it was a lot. It was hard to tell that they'd even done anything with some of the things they mentioned. But that was the only time they did that, like January, February, and March of 2014.
Just throwing that stuff out there.
Yeah.
But
they stopped doing that, but it was interesting that they were for a while.
But you do have John Mueller on the bat phone. You can actually give him a call and talk to him, right? You got the inside scoop, right?
John and I worked together years ago before he started working for Google. He was a moderator at a site I was an administrator at, Creative Site Forums. But that hasn't given me any special insight into how Google works.
Not that we would admit on the show at all. So to wrap up, hey Bill, what's the weirdest patent that you've seen filed by a search engine?
There's one from Google not a surprise I would choose them, which includes sensors in contact lenses or teeth.
Ooh.
That might count the number of red blood cells in your bloodstream. At the glucose level.
Oh,
Glucose
okay.
level.
To let you know whether or not you're at risk of diabetic overdose, diabetic death, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
What the heck are they doing over there?
Hey, you never know.
It's got nothing to do with search, but
Yeah. It could be something someday.
I was surprised by the artificial tooth,
Yeah. That's
the sensor in the tooth. That was,
That's a pretty unique one.
yeah.
Well, hey, from an SEO standpoint, Bill, can I ask you what bugs you about your industry right now?
I think it has something to do with some behavior that's similar to me looking at patents. It's people writing articles about 200 ranking factors at Google and just coming up with nonsense as proof. See, Matt Cutts said Google doesn't use this, so therefore it's worth looking at. Why? He said they don't use it. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he's telling the truth. But that's not an indication that he's absolutely lying.
Yeah, there's a lot still in today's age jumping out there and claiming to be experts in all these different fields, right?
Yeah.
And just for the record, I said 226, not 200. Just anyway, hey, so conversely, what excites you about your industry today?
There's so much growth. There's so many new things happening. Structured data, for one, is an area that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of, but it's interesting. The changes that have happened in search results, knowledge panels, structured snippets, featured snippets, and how to do things to maybe get those to show up in search results for your page. It's intriguing seeing how that happens. And it's happening not just at Google, it's happening at Bing too. And you can see the difference between the Google Knowledge Panel and a Bing Knowledge widget. And they are different.
Oh, absolutely. So are you still a proponent of SEO? The SEO is not going away?
There's so much evolution taking place.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of it may venture into artificial intelligence, Google may use artificial intelligence, but the pages that the artificial intelligence are going to pick out and choose are going to be pages that provide the best user experiences.
There it is.
And we can build better user experiences on our web pages. We can get more traffic to the sites and more conversions.
Absolutely. Well, lastly, hey, is there anything that we could promote for you today?
You sort of already are by just having
Oh, you're more than welcome. More than welcome. Hey, you certainly you're doing great work over at GoFish Digital that provides SEO, reputation management, web design, content marketing, conversion rate optimization, all the things that we're all passionate about here. So it's great to be able to see you plugged in over there. On social, if we could run through it real quick, your Twitter handle is Bill_Slawski. That's SLAW. Ski, S-K-I, Facebook, Bill.Slawski, LinkedIn, Slawski, and Instagram, Bill Slawski. You got some good branding there, Bill. There's only one Bill Slawski out there. So anything in the future from any writings that you're going to be doing or future blog posts that we should be paying attention to?
I'm going to be digging through that site quality score patent from Panda, the update. See how much of a difference there is between it and the last one I wrote about. Looking at it right now, I don't see much of a difference, but there might be more.
Excellent. Well, why don't you, if we could ask you to ping us, we're certainly going to be watching, but if you want us to throw some news and refer to one of your articles, just let us know, and we'll get it into our news lineup.
There we go.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your information today, Bill. It's fantastic, and thank you for fighting the good fight and making us aware of the Google patents that are out there. It's a regularity, and it's something that not many disciplined SEO people will be doing that regularly. So hats off to you for paying attention to all that and being able to convey that to the rest of us. Thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. So thanks again, Bill. Thanks to all my colleagues here at Edge of the Web Radio and Site Strategics. I'm very proud of the continued downloads and the fans that we have of the show, and as well as our sponsors. Thanks so much to our guest, Bill Slawski. And make sure you check out all the must-see videos and audio over at edgeofthewebradio.com. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. We will talk to you next week. Do not be yes, sir.
And our winner of our contest.
Oh, yeah, the winner
is Nicholas Cassidy, so I'll be in touch with you, Nicholas, about your subscription to Ahrefs. So here we go. Just want to get that in before you said the tagline.
Absolutely, yeah. I couldn't say the tagline. I got to get used to this. We're getting a number of giveaways. So hey, make sure all of our fans and listeners are paying attention, because we're going to be giving away things regularly from Edge of the Web Radio. And thanks to both of our sponsors, Ahrefs and Page One Power, for joining us as we kind of do our next evolution of Edge of the Web. And thanks again for all of our listeners. We're certainly listening to you. So give us a shout if you want us to showcase something on the show. Again, this is Aaron Sparks signing off. Do not be a piece of driftwood. Take care. We'll see you later.